you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Antoinette, can I get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Oaken?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. Somebody like to audit the bills?
I will like to make a motion to approve abstract number 21 dated November 8th, 2019 in the amount of $647,276.72. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to do the one or two budget transfers we have?
At Councilman Cook's request, I'll be happy to. I would like to make the following budget transfer requests. The first is a budget transfer request to reallocate funds to the central data processing contractual account for additional expenses and computer services. We are moving $1,100 from central data equipment and capital outlay to central data processing contractual. That's budget request number 30. Budget request 31 was a request from our Highway Department to transfer $12,000 from improvement equipment and capital outlay to machinery contractual to cover increasing costs for truck repairs. Budget request number 32 is required in the rec center, and it's a request to transfer $8,000 from the rec center building personal services to the rec center building contractual, and that's to for additional expenses and repairs. Budget request number 33 is under the Justice's contractual line. We are transferring $900 from Justice Training and $1,100 from contingent account to the Justice contractual account, and that's for additional expenses related to translation services. Budget request number 34 is a request to transfer, and this has to do with additional funds needed for the LoSAP account, and it's from $8,758 from the workers' compensation account to the LoSAP service award account. And lastly, budget request 35 is related to the Recreation Center programs contractual youth, and we're requesting to increase the Rec Center youth programs line by $3,500 and increase the Rec Center program contractual youth expense account by that same amount. So I'll make a motion we approve budget requests 30 through 35. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cook?
Okay. First, what we have tonight is an annual contract approval process between the town and Putnam County Office for Senior Resources. We approve this basically each year, where the county agrees to provide an outreach worker to the town to help seniors who are over the age of 60 and have health or financial problems and or in need of governmental assistance. And the outreach worker will provide such persons with the guidance and assistance necessary to contact and or make application for to obtain services from the proper governmental agencies and other available resources. And they provide this service for a minimum of 12.5 hours per week, and the cost to the town is $2,500 for the year. So I will make a motion that the town board approve the contract between the town of Patterson and Putnam County's Office for Senior Resources, as I just outlined, and authorize the supervisor to sign and return said contract. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have at the wastewater treatment plant a request to replace 2 motors to prevent that are attached to the blowers at the wastewater treatment plant. And without the blowers, the plant would go septic. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve an expenditure with Allied Pollution for a total amount of $2,446.80 for 2 new pumps. So moved.
Second.
We are actually buying them from Timken Power Systems. All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry. Next, we have a performance bond and inspection fee with relation to HD Carpentry site plan application. The planning board is recommending a performance bond for $25,580 and an inspection fee of $24,600. So I will, and we have a resolution covering all the details relative to that recommendation. So I will make a motion that the town board approve the establishment of the performance bond and the inspection fee amount as so noted, and enter this resolution into the record as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sean?
Okay, first item we have is related to the town hall lighting, and this is exterior lighting. Our gentleman in charge of maintenance, Dennis Mays, has requested that Healy Electric come in and evaluate and do some necessary repairs to the ballast and lighting in the, find the right one, town hall. To the lighting at town hall. Yeah, I just flip-flopped them when I was reading them. I have it here. And so, excuse me, and so Healy Electric came in and replaced some ballasts. They provided some bulbs. They even provided additional bulbs for future use, and did all the necessary work. So at Dennis's request, would like to make a motion to approve the expenditure for the town hall parking lot lighting repairs for $3,930.11 to Healy Electric. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And likewise, while they were here, they also looked at the lighting to the rec center. And again, similar work, lighting inside and out at the building. This bill is for $1,986. So I'll move that we approve this bill submitted by Dennis Mays for Healy Electric Services. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item, 24 Powderhorn Road, is just to notify the public that the town has been made notified by the property owner about some concerns with a residential property on Powderhorn Road that dates back to almost 20 years ago. That was essentially built, inspected, and lived in, and has since changed hands in the last year. The current owner has identified now, after living in the house for almost a year, some potential defects in workmanship to the foundation and the support structure, and they have notified the town, and we are evaluating and discussing basically a legal response and how to proceed with this potential claim against the town, in essence. And I believe we will be talking about this in executive session this evening. I do have, Rich has supplied the board with a copy of an engineer's evaluation that the homeowner took upon themselves to get, and it has some pictures and some photos that would be helpful for our discussion. So certainly give this to the rest of the board to look at, and we'll probably use in executive session. So just really to document that on the record for the public's edification, that we do have an issue with a resident that's concerned about workmanship that was installed and inspected almost 20 years ago. So,
Very good. First on my agenda tonight is the Fox Run Water District. I believe I brought this up at the last meeting. We are having issues with the water supply out there. It's on tonight for 2 issues. The first, there are 4 wells out there, and actually well number 2, there are 3 different well heads. One of them is a well that is currently in use. It is our highest producing well. The second well in that general area, which we call well 2B, is a well that was drilled and we believe is dry. And there's a third well in that area that we believe has a well pump lodged in the throat of the wellhead that they tried to take out many years ago and were unsuccessful. So it is is a high-producing well, but has been taken out of service. We initially were working with Adam Beal Well Drilling, on how best to proceed to provide additional sources of water to the site. He came back with a proposal. I reached out to 3 other well companies to get proposals as well. We received no responses back by the deadline that I had provided. We then reached out to 2 of the well drilling companies that did not respond. One of them has since responded. We've had a number of conversations with them on what they feel should be done out there, as well as waiting for the 3rd proposal, which is why I'm not mentioning the costs. But the next step in this process, Boyd Artesian Well does have the ability to drop a camera down the wellhead to look at the pump that is lodged in to see if it is retrievable, if we can get it back out, or if a prior well driller actually tried to drill the well pump out of the well and shattered it, and so there's bits and pieces all over, and what the well actually looks like. The cost for doing that is $500. I'd like to make a motion that the board approve Boyd Artesian Well to scope the well number 2 to look at the lodged pump to see if it's retrievable.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Money well spent.
Yeah. The second part of this is a discussion on the direction that we've been taken based on the recommendation by Adam Beal. He's certainly given us a price. We have a price now also from Boyd Artesian, which is in the general ballpark of Adam Beal's proposal. I'm waiting on one third proposal from a well driller, which was supposed to have been in here. But I want to make sure that the board is comfortable with going in this direction, which is essentially trying to reopen well number 4, which is a low producing well, by re-drilling, drilling deeper, and then hydrofracking it. And the cost is going to run us somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to do the work on the well, and then we're going to have to put a pump in and run the lines all the way down to the well house. That's probably going to run us another $25,000 to $30,000. And as long as the board's comfortable with proceeding with this, understanding the costs, my next step is to reach out to the board of directors for Fox Run to talk to them about it, because we do need to go in there, take a tree down, and do some other work in preparation for doing the work on the well. So, discussion?
I think you have to talk to the Fox Run Homeowners Association officers first. I mean, it's a hefty tab, but I don't see what the alternative is. I mean, they need
The
water.
alternative is running out of water, which
Yeah.
nobody would be happy about. So,
Or drilling a new well.
Yeah. And this is why you get the opinion of people that know better than we do about wells. There are a lot of different options, but this one certainly seems like one worth considering.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Good.
All right. All right. So we've had an audit by our insurance company, NYMER, as it relates to our IT policies. I provided you with a copy of that. I can go through it very quickly. Attached to that, I've had some discussions with our IT consultant and asked him to provide some responses. I can tell you I'm working on getting a contract together with them for the first of the year, so we will have a contract, because our IT services are certainly increasing, and they seem to be increasing on a daily basis. This week we had a lot of fun around here because most of the staff received an email from me asking them to purchase gift cards. It was actually personalized to the staff members using my name as supervisor. Clearly a scam.
Wow.
Fortunately, our staff is smart enough so that everybody just deleted it. Nobody's gonna buy me gift cards, I guess. So anyway, there's a few things that we need to do. Certainly get the contract in place.
Who's the contract going to be with?
A1 Computer, who has been doing our IT work for a long time now. They're doing our backups.
That's Wayne?
That's Wayne.
Okay.
Yes. I am reluctant to change passwords as frequently as they're looking for us to change passwords. I can't remember my passwords now, and I have a list of them.
Oh, you don't keep the list right in front of your computer.
You know, I've got,
Honor.
God's honest truth, I've got so many passwords. I keep them on a separate computer in an Excel spreadsheet that's password protected, and there's 4 different tabs. I've got that many passwords.
Just don't forget the password for the.
That's the one, yeah, that's the one I've got on my computer screen. The rest of these, I think, are pretty well self-explanatory. If anybody has any questions, we can talk about it. We are also starting to look into some training. NYMER does provide some computer training. We're trying to get through this year's round of state mandated training. They require us to take every year 4 different courses, all employees. But we do need to add in some computer IT training, security training,
Yeah.
cyber training.
Agreed.
So we'll be looking at NYMER for providing some of that.
So with the contract with the technical support,
Yep.
will we be able to maybe revisit the mailbox quota issue and maybe getting some group email addresses together? You know, a couple things that I was talking about, you know, in the past few months.
So that's really not something that our IT consultant does. He can assist us in getting that done, but most of that is done through our webmail and our website,
Oh, okay.
and
So-
that's something different.
Not Wayne?
That's not Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Go ahead.
No.
Anyone?
Does the, sorry, the training, the mandatory training we did with the Putnam County, do they have a cybersecurity course on there?
They did
They
not.
looked like they had a whole bunch of different courses
They
there.
did not, but if you remember, Putnam County has kind of dropped doing that, so we don't have that available anymore. So Sue, running HR, worked with, I believe, NYMER, so we're doing it through NYMER.
Ah, okay.
So, but we keep running into glitches. I know I received an email today about somebody who tried to log on, couldn't get on,
Mhm.
so.
I think with all the phishing scams out there and everything, and I think it's not a bad idea to do some kind of training.
No.
Mhm.
No, I went to some training a while ago. It was absolutely fascinating on what people could do. There was a IT consultant who worked for the FBI who did the training, who literally hacked into a police agency, and through the police agency, hacked into somebody's home surveillance equipment.
Wow.
And you could see their car, their license plate number, their address, you know.
Oh, boy.
It was wild. All right, so the next item on my agenda is court reimbursement for training. I feel a little foolish at this point bringing this up. The backdrop on this is we sent the court clerks for training. Prior to going to the training, they picked up lunch for the day, took it to them with training. And that is something that is typically not allowed by our employee handbook
You mean as a reimbursable?
as a reimbursable expense.
We allow them
Correct.
to have their lunch.
Yes, we do allow them to have their lunch. They put in for reimbursement of their lunch. I was going to suggest to the board, and I drafted a letter back to the court basically saying, all right, this is a one-time issue. We realized that maybe you had not reviewed the employment handbook and you weren't aware of the policy, so we're going to reimburse you. And then today I looked at their timesheet and found that they put in for getting paid for their lunchtime because, as they claim on their timesheet, they didn't take lunch. So they're asking us to pay for the time that they normally would have taken lunch because they're claiming they didn't take any lunch that day, but expecting us to pay the cost of the meal that they didn't eat. And so I was gonna ask the board to approve this memo, sending it over, and approve the reimbursement, but at this point, I'm not gonna make that motion. If anybody else wishes to, they may. But
Nope.
I feel a little bit foolish even putting it on the agenda right now. So,
Well, the only thing I just want to point out is that, making an offering to pay for something they're not eligible for in their handbook, they sign for their handbook,
They
right?
did, yep.
Okay, so whether they read the handbook or not, whether they're aware, they were aware by their signature, and they're responsible for everything in that handbook. So
Yeah, understood.
to try to make a good faith gesture and pay for it would probably, I wouldn't agree with, because they're responsible to read it, and they're not eligible for it, so therefore it's basically black and white.
I think what happened, looking at the emails going back and forth, I think they misunderstood. I think if you stay overnight, right? If it's
Correct, if you stay overnight.
Stay overnight, you get meals reimbursed, so I think that's what their oversight was, but,
Yeah.
if they didn't take a lunch, you're getting
And-
paid for not taking a lunch.
And if they're, if they have, I see in one of their emails that they were paid in the past, they had put in and were reimbursed for something they weren't eligible for, but a mistake in the past doesn't guarantee you that you'll get it in the future, so, myself, I don't agree with that. There's a reason for those, I don't wanna call them mandates, but just those, eligibility that you'd have to meet in the handbook, and if we're
Right.
gonna start making concessions, might as well get rid of the handbook.
I agree.
I don't disagree with anything that's been said.
All right, moving on. Finance Department software. We have a memo here from our Town Controller, Patricia Brooks. She actually has been negotiating with our financial software, and she has made a recommendation. I would like to approve her recommendation and ask the board to approve the agreement with Springbrook in the amount of $4,595, which includes an annual increase of 5% in subsequent years, and authorize the supervisor to sign any and all agreements to effectuate this. So moved.
Second with the one comment, how many years is this?
Well, the agreement is actually for 1 year, but they put us on notice that in subsequent years, there's going to be a 5% increase. Because what she's done is she's negotiated with them to actually lower the cost. Last year, the cost was $6,810, but there are modules of the financial program that we don't use extensively, so we're taking them out.
Right, so then, when this comes back next year, this just should be a 5% increase over this
Yes,
4,500, okay.
correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, my executive session, I'll defer to the end of the meeting.
Okay, first item on my agenda are recreation requests. Mr. Matt Chabaro would like to hire a new hire for the youth basketball leader and ski snowboard, and he has prices that he would like to advise us of for ski and snowboarding. David Green, a senior staff member, would be joining the team over there to serve in the role of the youth basketball program leader. David is experienced youth basketball coach and would serve as a mentor to our staff, coaches, and players. The rate of pay will be $13, and it is included in the program budget. So I'd like to make a motion to approve David Green, senior staff member, for the amount of $13 per hour. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, also, I'd like to make a motion to approve the program pricing for the ski and snowboard lessons at Thunder Ridge for the 1920 session. One lesson only $59, lift and lesson $273, lift lesson and rental $423. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, conference request for Matt Chabarro and Veronica Roach. The date is 11/12, so they went to this conference already?
Yeah.
Okay. So is this a reimbursement, or we haven't paid it yet, or? It's
I
a
don't
reimbursement?
Well, I think that the,
I
Or
don't
it's,
think they went. Do you know they went?
I don't know, I know that they talked about going a while back, so.
Well, if that's the
Well,
case, why don't
regardless,
you-
we do want them to go to the recreation conference.
But they
so-
missed it.
No, either they went,
11/12?
Well,
I thought they were going, and I'm just looking at this date now.
Okay.
I am sure they went.
Well, then let's just approve the amount as a reimbursement for money spent out of pocket for the conference.
Agreed.
Up to an amount, including what's,
For registration fee, $170 total for 2 and 85 miles,
Mhm.
in the amount not to exceed more than $219.30.
Perfect.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye. Because if they didn't go, it's a moot point.
Yes.
If they did, then we probably owe them a
Then we're-
reimbursement.
Okay.
I missed that.
Fire inspector. So we put in the budget, this is for part-time fire inspector?
Part-time.
Yeah, okay. And we're looking to hire for the new year to help out Mr. McCarthy. And we do have a resume here, someone very qualified, looks like interested in filling the position for us. So basically, this is a discussion to see, do we want to, I do not, I've never met him myself. I look at the resume, it looks very good, but I would like to sit down and have a conversation. And, but I didn't know, do you want to advertise for this, or?
Well, that was the question. I happen to know the candidate, and he's immensely qualified. He's not certified, but he's immensely qualified. And whether the board wants to interview him, which I'm sure you do,
Mhm.
and whether you want to advertise for other candidates before we interview him, or do you want to interview him and then decide whether, we want to interview for other candidates?
Yeah.
I think it's
So-
always nice to see what you have to compare to, and, rather than just select one person.
So why don't I start off with scheduling an interview?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
try to do that before the next town board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
See his availability.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
Last item, building department, request return of fees. Okay, oh yeah, I had some questions on this one. So, I guess Mr. McCarthy received a request from a licensed contractor for the refund of monies paid for 2 building permits and respective C of Os and compliance. Okay, I'm gonna leave the names out, because it
Yeah,
seems
that's all right.
like,
Leave it
yeah.
out.
Well, because it looks like maybe there might have been a possible falling out between the two of them, and that's why he's requesting the fees.
That's one way to look at it, yes.
So, I want to know, I don't have here when he filed for the permits, like how long ago was this?
Probably about a year ago.
So, and there hasn't been was no exchange of money, because typically when you have work done, you pay for half, and then the contractor will go and file the permits after they take the money. So if there was exchange of money and then, the job was voided, he might have already collected money and paid the fees with the customer's money, but requesting the fee back. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. My
So we're
understanding is.
reimbursing him the fees that he charged her for, and he didn't complete the job?
Correct.
I don't think that there's a lot of information here in his request, so.
So, this raised a number of questions for me, which I talked to the building department about, and I talked to the town board about as well tonight. There was no money exchanged, to the best of my knowledge, that he was initially going to take the job, but upon further inspection found that the job was much more extensive, for which he did not have the money to pay, so they parted ways. He is not going to be doing the work. But if you read the memo closely, you will see that part of the work that was going to be completed was for remedying current violations that are out there.
Oh.
It has been a standard practice of the building department that they will allow a contractor to actually come in and make a building permit application for an individual and pay the fees. I have some great concerns with that, in that, we don't have the property owner's consent. The property owner is not paying the fees. And, especially in this case where there's an existing violation out there, in my opinion, the property owner should have come in, made the application for the building permit, signed an authorization allowing the contractor to deal directly with the building department and act as her agent if she so felt, but she should have paid the fees, because now we're sitting here with somebody who, Bob has been trying to work with to remedy some violations, because we're always trying to get compliance and not punish people, but it's been going on for a number of years, and we're going to refund this gentleman the money that he put down for, assuming we're going to do that, for the building permit fees, because he's not going to be doing the work. And
So, but it takes a year to figure out that you're not gonna do the work?
there was a lot, I'm guessing it was about a year. There's been a lot of back and forth. This has been going on for 2 to 3 years, though. So my opinion is we need to change that practice, and all building permit applications need to be filed by the property owner, not contractors. And if they want the contractors to represent them, they can sign a letter doing that, but they need to do the authorization and they need to pay the fees. Contractors shouldn't be paying the building permit fees or the CO fees. Because ultimately with the CO goes with the property owner, not the contractor.
Okay. I think if you make that clear with the building department, and you're confident that the contractor did not get reimbursed by the homeowner, then I would agree with Bob McCarthy's letter.
Rich, just to be clear, the application itself, under signature of applicant, has that a contractor can sign it, so that should be changed.
Yes.
It should have just that the owner
Yes.
should sign. But I agree with you that there should be authorization. I mean, theoretically, you could have a contractor coming and getting a building permit on a home that they're not working on. That, or the owner has no intention of having someone work on. And then an owner is dealing with an outstanding building permit they might not even know about.
Exactly. I absolutely agree. But apparently this has been a long-standing practice, not only of our building department, but our building inspector says this is the way it's done routinely throughout the county. And I just found that incredulous, that, the property owner, may not be involved in the process at all.
Yes.
So, and I understand, navigating, the building permit process can be sometimes daunting to somebody who's never done it. And I don't have a problem with them authorizing the contractor to act as their agent. But I do have a problem with the building permit not being, signed off by the property owner and the property owner paying the fees. And I see a local resident who is approaching the mic, who might want to add to this conversation.
At a minimum, if there was a signature block for the owner, like you said, that would just by signing authorize the contractor to act on their behalf, at least there's knowledge that, hey, they're filling out a building permit, here's the cost, here's what they're applying for.
You could even add it to the application form itself.
Yeah,
The owner signs
Exactly.
it, but then I authorize this person to act on my behalf
We
on
have-
all future,
We have the same
interactions.
box on all the planning department and zoning department applications.
Hi, Bruce Major. Might I suggest you contact the Town of Southeast Building Department? For years, they have an affidavit, because I have gone in for building permits for my son. If the homeowner is not submitting the application, I must bring a affidavit that has been notarized by the homeowner, giving the contractor the authority to move forward. So it's a very simple form. It's already available to the town of Southeast, and it could very easily be added to your paperwork.
Well, as I said, we have that form for if you want to do a site plan, a subdivision, if you want to make a ZBA application, it has to be signed by the property owner, and they can then sign a separate authorization, which we already have, for somebody to represent them.
But then why isn't the building department doing it?
That's a good question. Practice, I believe we are going to change.
Yeah. The question I have, and I think I always bring up on these types of requests, is I always want to make sure that we are taking into account work that may have already been done by our building department, so that we're just not refunding. And I see there's an amount here, $150 of total application fees that they're reducing from the amount paid. But what I want to make sure is that if, let's say that someone applies for a permit and they submit plans with those permits, and our building inspector or staff spend time reviewing those plans, that the town is compensated for that, that we don't automatically say, well, somebody no longer wants to move forward with the project, and we aren't considering that in a potential refund on fees. I don't know how much review was done in this case, but just in general.
Well, I also want to add to that it's, the building inspector is advocating for him. He's basically making the request on his behalf. I see his letter here, but maybe we need to put something together where it's more of an application requesting the money back, and it would include all the information, such as some that I was asking for. I mean, I don't have the original application. I don't know the date. His letter doesn't, it doesn't point to any date. I mean, I'm sure, in the department they know, but there's really no excuse here.
So the application involved two things. One is there was a finished basement that Mr. McCarthy discovered, and he's making them remove certain walls and appliances from that basement, and there was no real plans for him to review. The second part of the application had to do with the replacement of a roof.
There's no plans for that.
No, and there's no plans for the replacement of the roof. Ultimately what happened is when the contractor went up on the roof, after he had already given the owner a price for doing the roof, found that the condition of the chimney going through the roof was in much worse condition than he anticipated, requiring a lot of additional work to repair the chimney. The property owner refused to pay it. So the contractor said, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
This is not going to go well, so I'm not going to do the work.
Sure.
And as a result, they've asked for the fees back.
And that all makes sense. That's,
So it's the 450 less the 150,
So, but to get back to the original point about the violation, you still have an issue that we now have a homeowner who's not compelled to fix, or at least doesn't, I shouldn't say not compelled, because that just means they parted ways with this contractor. They may very well be at this time getting additional prices from other contractors, but that needs to be followed up from as well, from Bobby,
Yep, I agree.
so.
So I guess we're gonna do this.
Well, I think can I just say, if we're gonna approve the request, it should be with Bob speaking to the homeowner and confirming some of the things we talked about in terms of making sure the outlay money was, not from the homeowner. It was paid out directly by the contractor. I think that should be confirmed.
Okay.
Because otherwise we would be giving, like you said, what if the homeowner put out the money somehow? It's great. Maybe it didn't happen, but we don't know that. So.
He got up on the roof. It was more. He already gave a price.
Yeah.
He went up there. He didn't have the shingles.
Yeah.
Did we return the shingles?
I don't believe any
Oh, I don't
shingles
think you
were
probably ever-
purchased.
You probably
I'm
didn't
just
get it.
saying,
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
never know.
you're a contractor,
Yeah.
So 300? Or is this 450 already less than 150?
No.
So it's 300. All right. So I'll make a motion to reimburse Mr. Jim Liebler, Putnam County licensed contractor, in the amount of not to exceed more than $300 for permit fees. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Peter?
First item I have a memo here from Denise Montana, our EMS administrator, who is seeking to approve the change of employment status for 2 EMTs, Nicole Rubin and Andrew Weiss. They were both hired on a temporary basis pending all civil service requirements, and now they are all met and they are eligible to be hired status permanent. So I'd like to make a motion to hire Nicole Rubin, our the employment status from EMT to Nicole Rubin and Andrew Weiss. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Next, I have a memo from Dennis Mays from Building and Maintenance regarding Patterson Village. He was notified by Allied Pollution that we have a crushed suction line at the Patterson Village lift station. The pipe obviously is not creating any suction from being crushed. So he is...
Any puns involved?
Yeah, I'm just trying to focus here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
So this issue leaves us with 1 pump at the lift station and no backup. So he's requesting to replace the pipe. He has two prices. He reached out to 3 different companies. 1 company didn't return the call, the lowest bid, and his recommendation is to go with Foley's pump. So I'd like to make a motion to approve $2,064 from Foley's pump for the replacement of a sewage suction line at Patterson Village. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry.
It's hard to
One
get
of those
through these
weird
things.
moments. I know, I'm sorry.
Okay, next I have, we got an email from NCSI, who does our background screening, background checks for new employees and whatnot. They're notifying us that they are no longer accepting paper or email requests, so everything is now, electronic through portals, so their prices have increased. So they are now advising us that it has increased to $50 per employment screen. I guess, what was it, 35 in the past? 30?
15.
Oh, 15, okay, so that's a big jump. Oh, it was 35, they were gonna,
The one-time search.
one-side search. So first, do we have to approve that one-time search? Did we already
They've
do
already
that?
done it.
Okay, so we don't need to approve that? or-
Nope.
Okay, that was part of our thing. So I've discussed this with our town supervisor, and $50 I think is a lot for background checks for what they give us. We mentioned a couple things that they give us. I don't have an exact list, but I don't know if it's worth $50 per person. So I think it might be a good idea to look into other companies and see. The supervisor has provided us with a punch list of things that maybe we should look into, see if other companies will provide some extra things. I guess currently they just do a simple...
They do a very simple background check, criminal records, and sex registry.
I think for $50, in my past experiences, I think for $50, I think we can get a lot more for a background check. So I think we should probably look more into finding a different company and comparing prices before we
So-
approve the $50.
In doing that, as Peter mentioned, I've kind of given everybody a punch list of different things we can do background checks on. And typically, our background checks have included criminal history, short criminal history, and sex offender registry. But we can look at things like bankruptcy information, national criminal databases, domestic and global terrorist watch lists. Anybody have any opinions on things that we should be looking for, or do we keep it nice and simple with the criminal history and the sex offender registry?
Well, and obviously you mentioned in here the motor vehicle record is
Yep.
important. They're going to be driving one of our ambulances. But I think if we do the New York State Sex Offender Registry and the criminal background, those are the big ones to me, that and the motor vehicle.
Do you know if they, once they do the check, are they in a monitoring system?
No.
No.
I think it also depends on the different pricing.
Okay, so yeah, let me restate that. They are not for criminal history or sex offender registry. We do with motor vehicle.
Yeah.
I like a lot of these things, so I think it would really be, just the pricing around and see what you get for your money. I don't think most of these things are a la carte where you could ask, give me a price on this, this, and this. It's probably a package. This is what you get for this price. So I'd like to see maybe just couple different companies and some prices and see what they give us for the price.
Okay. All right.
Can we ask the sheriff's department?
We asked the sheriff as well. We do run them all through the sheriffs. Usually it takes a while for us to get anything back to the sheriff.
That should be free though, right?
Huh?
That's free.
Yeah.
Okay, next on my agenda, I have a resolution here for the establishment of a performance bond for the lap court site plan. So the resolution includes the performance bond
Yeah.
for $17,700 and inspection fees for $15,000. So I'd like to make a motion to enter this resolution as read and an approval. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other business? Any board member have any other business?
Nope.
When did last board start? How long ago was that?
Too long ago. This has been torturous.
Okay.
Public recognition. Any member of the public wish to be recognized?
Bruce, with your background, maybe you could give us a quote for background checks and stuff.
I'm sorry, I don't have computer access to that information. Actually, this is for you, Sean. I was wondering, I don't know if you're prepared tonight, if you can give us an overview of the results of the water test of the wells surrounding the landfill in the town of Patterson.
I would not be prepared to speak on that. I do have some of the results from my role in the health department.
Right.
I don't have them as in this role, and I don't have them. I mean, I wouldn't be prepared to speak to them.
No, I realize that.
Yeah.
What I'm asking is, if maybe that can be done at the next meeting.
Sure.
Because I am aware, and one of my concerns, first of all, I know the results of my well. I know the results of one other neighbor's wells. I don't know the results of any of the other wells. The only question I did ask, and I was kind of perplexed by it, was that I don't know how many wells are at the highway and recycling center, but it doesn't appear that those wells were tested, and they seem to be very close to the landfill. And I'm just curious as to why those wells weren't tested, whether or not the state ever even reached out to the town to say, based on your proximity to that landfill, we would test those wells. So I was wondering if maybe at the next meeting, you can maybe give us an overview as to what those results were.
We'll do our best.
Okay, great. And just one other thing. As it relates to the issue of the $2,500 for the Putnam County Outreach Worker Program, do you ever get an annual report of the results? Not that they assisted Bruce Major in X, but the number of residents that they provide services or assistance to within the town. It would be nice to know if it's 0 or 5 or 10, to see that the money's being well spent. Thank you.
Very good. No, we do not. I don't believe they keep those records, but I will follow up with that. Anyone else? Going once? All right, a couple of quick announcements. Patterson Fire Department invites you to the Christmas tree lighting and holiday celebration, Friday, December 6th, 7 p.m. So please come sing carols as we light the tree and meet Santa. Always a good time.
It's at the firehouse, right?
It's at Patterson Firehouse. Then we have Breakfast with Santa coming up down at our Patterson Recreation Center on December 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. The event runs from 9 to 11. I will be turning pancakes again. I don't know if Veronica has put the arm on anybody else yet. Also that same day, at the Putnam Lake Fire Department in Putnam Lake, they have the holiday parade and tree lighting. And that kickoff is at 7 p.m. Don't be late. That is it for me. Senior lunch. Bruce, come up here and tell us about senior lunch. That'll teach you.
Senior lunch will be on the 11th of December. So we're welcoming all seniors to come out.
12 o'clock.
I will try not to poison anyone.
Shelley, 12
in
o'clock
my
at the rec
assistance?
center. Is there registration required?
Registration is required. Don't call my house because I have nothing to do with the registration.
Anybody who wishes to go to senior lunch, please contact the recreation center the Friday prior to senior lunch to
Exactly.
register.
Good.
We know what's being served?
Christmas is ham.
Nice.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.